Hello there, beautiful. This is Buck. Welcome back to Buck's Books. We have Beefton with us today, but he is a little camera shy. Maybe over the course of our journey, he will start hopping around the room again. Today, I would like to talk about a book that I just finished reading on my drive through Death Valley. When I say reading, I wasn't like doing both. I had an audiobook going, but this was another one that I got through in one shot because I could not stop. This book was phenomenal. It's called The Vagrant by Peter Newman, right? And so, broad strokes, first thing, it's Fallout, right? But then there's demons. And that's the idea, that's the concept. I also listened to a book on my drive through Death Valley by the guy who wrote Bagger Vance. He wrote a fantastic book called The War of Art, and he wrote a much worse book called Why No One Will Read Your... And then he cussed. And I'm not cussing on this channel because I'm holding out hope for monetization. But I also think it's trashy to cuss in the titles of your books. I think it's a gimme. I think it's too easy. I think it's cheap. And I was really disappointed in Stephen Pressfield when he did it. In that book, he talks about what he learned from his time as an advertiser, because he was an advertiser before he became a novelist, and then he was a novelist before he became a screenwriter, I think. Or it might have been the other way around. Doesn't matter, even a little bit. The point is, they all have concepts. And concepts he described as the ability to boil down the entire thrust of the book, whatever it's about, whatever it's going to be exploring, into a single sentence. And that's what you that's what you pitch with. And then the executive says, "Oh, I love it, let's go!" And then they give you the money, and then you create the actual media from it. So in this case, let's return to The Vagrant, because I'm not going to do that book, ever. Let's return to The Vagrant. In The Vagrant, Everything good? He was so mad. The mailman was outside. The mailman wasn't even doing anything. He was so mad about it. He was over there just So what are you doing, man? Why are you making that sound? The mailman's allowed to be out there. The Vagrant. The concept, Fallout with demons. That's it. That's what it is. So if you ever played Fallout and you thought this could really benefit from demons, you're in luck. Because that's what this book is, and it is easy 5 stars. Not a best book. I clarified this last video. Not every 5 stars is a best book. But every 5 stars is absolutely worth reading. Every 5 stars is phenomenal. It just doesn't change the way that I look at the world. The Vagrant did not change the way I look at the world. But it was really, really good. Fallout, actually gritty instead of a grimdark caricature of gritty, and somehow not secular, right? So you'd think that the secularity would be a pretty critical part of Fallout, and you'd be right, but they added, what they added was chivalry, honestly. It's not even religion. They added chivalry. They added the Seraph Knights, right? Drawn from, the root word of seraphim, but I guess they kind of are. The knights themselves aren't, but they serve, acquire. We'll get there. The Seraph Knights, back when they were all over the place, were this breed of surly, futuristic paladins who were charged with bringing the hammer down on several different factions of demons. And charged by themselves and the concept of honor. And then also by... The god was suspiciously absent, but the angels were present. That's a very popular trope in most fantasy, because you write yourself into a corner when you put God in it. There's nothing you can really do. Sort of like what I was talking about with Hellmouth, when you put the actual biblical devil as the villain, and he's there, and he's doing things, there's nowhere you can go from there. That's where the story both peaks and ends. You can't have the guy... And again, Devil Went Down to Georgia as an example. Is an exception, the devil in Billy Markham. But, the devil was sort of... He was there from the jump, so the story couldn't have ended there because the story started there. All of this is a completely unnecessary digression. How about we stay on The Vagrant? Huh, Buck? How about we focus on The Vagrant by Peter Newman? The Seraph Knights did great. smashing down these demons, but not great enough to stop them because then there were just too many demons. I mean, there tend to be too many demons. And then the Seraph Knights themselves were deleted. In this world, the straggling remnants are continuing to cling to existence, mostly in their fortified city. In this dystopian crapsack Mad Max world where the humans are scavenging for everything and betraying each other just constantly. And it's one of those very dog-eat-dog, very Darwinistic things, where everyone is scrabbling to... It's a zero-sum game for everyone. Everyone is constantly conning everybody else. It's just vicious and horrible and what you want from a dystopian novel, really. But then, one man, the Vagrant. By the way, you're going to be able to hear the stupid voices I make and like me singing the arpeggios because I'm going to order an actual mic. Like that was a request I got. I'm actually, with all these subscribers I'm getting requests to do things on the channel. And one of the requests I got was to improve the sound quality. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to get an actual microphone I'm going to plug into the computer so we don't have to listen to the tiny microphone contained in the webcam that I stole from work. That I borrowed from work. If anyone at work ever sees this, I am A, mortified, and B, gonna return it. Just if I ever need to use it at work, I will know in advance and bring it back in. It's like it never happened. One man, one Vagrant, walks through this whole mess, just carrying a baby, and an incredibly holy sword. Perfect. That's already an amazing book. This could be a short story, and the short story could just be Fallout with demons, and there's a guy holding a baby and carrying an incredibly holy sword. And whatever happens next is going to be phenomenal. Like, we could have stopped it there. I'm glad we didn't, because the rest of the book was real good too. But this sword is so holy that if the demons just get a good look at it, they just explode. Alright, so, sort of a turn undead situation. Like, you hold up the sigil, and then the radiant energy comes off and just, and just torches them, and they poof, like the vampires from Buffy. So that's what this sword does to demons. There is a component where the wielder has to, sing along with it in some way. That was never really clearly explained, or maybe I just didn't get it. That's also possible. I was dehydrated. But it was still really cool. The Vagrant's goal is to transport said baby, across the wasteland, ultimately dropping her off at the sad, blasted hidey hole where the last of the Seraph Knights are hunkering down. So that's the plot. That's what we're doing. Now comes the conflict. Two rival sects of demons are getting increasingly froggy with one another, and what remains of humanity caught in a crossfire. Hate to see it happen. As bad as things are, and as bad as things have always been, they are now suddenly worse. And the thing you gotta understand about Seraph Knights is if somebody says to them, we need you to protect us, whatever they're doing stops, and they have to just drop it and protect them right in that moment. They are oath-bound and honor-bound to stop whatever they have, whatever irons they have, and whatever fires, and handle the new arbitrary task that has been foisted on them by the right of mercy, just in that moment. So just imagine that. Imagine trying to do your job, no matter what your job is. I don't care if you work at McDonald's. Imagine just trying to drop the fries, and on your way there, somebody grabs you and says, by right of mercy, I need you to run register. Nothing's ever going to get done. That's probably why the Seraph Knights went more or less extinct. Well, they're not extinct, because they have their little Heidi Citadel. Their little, enclave. The Enclave is where the Brotherhood of Steel was hiding in Fallout, right? So that's what their deal. That's what their hidey hole is, the Enclave. So, not extinct, just endangered. But that's probably why they're endangered, because of stupid right of mercy. You gotta prioritize. But personally, I love a paladin bound by inconvenient oaths. man. It's one of my favorite tropes. I love it. I love when the moral code is just unrealistic, that there's no way they can possibly live up to it. So much of like the man versus himself conflict in the story comes from them just grappling with their own insufficiency to live up to these unrealistic standards. Cannot imagine why I identify with this so strongly, but I always have. It's so good. It's just such a good story, right? You can't beat a code so unrealistically aspirational that it's impossible to live up to it. This poor son of a vagrant, right? He cannot make it 2 days. 2 days wandering across this irradiated desert without somebody saying, "Hey, you're a seraph, right of mercy. We've been pinned down by raiders for a month, and my lawn is just unseemly. I need you to kill all the raiders while I mow the lawn." And this doofus has no choice because of his oath than to be like, and that's all. Like, he also, I haven't mentioned yet, he can't talk. Something happened, something in his development when he was learning how to sing with the demon, the holy demon killing, not demon sword, the holy sword that causes demons to explode. He was learning how to sing with that, and something went wrong and like blew up his ability to speak. I don't know. That's another part that I did not. I'm probably gonna listen to this again or read this again. Probably gonna listen to it again. The voice actor was really good. So I can see if I actually missed these things or if they just weren't very clear in them. But that was one of the things that I missed. Whatever. Like, I went back too. You have to understand. Like, I stopped and I like rewound. I listened to the one part 4 or 5 times trying to figure out what happened, what the exposition was that made him lose his voice, and it was never clearly explained. But I have since found out that there are additional books in the series. Very excited about that. 2 other novels and 2 other novellas in the series. So maybe Peter Newman was leaving it open-ended. Maybe it wasn't resolved yet. You know, maybe we find out what actually happened to stop him from being able to speak in later novels. If so, I hate that. That's terrible. You shouldn't do that. The important exposition for this story should take place in this story. You know, you should develop more things to reveal later in the story, especially if it's about the main character like that. That's cheesy and dirty, and I hate it. But let's go back to our sad man here who can't talk. Because of his oath, he has to be like, yeah, but because he can't talk, it's just like an affirmative wheeze. I don't know if you guys ever saw that old PlayStation game, Medieval, with the knight, this little skeleton knight guy who has no lower jaw. Sir Daniel Fortescue was his name. So whenever he had anything, they'd be saying something to him, he'd be like, you know, that's what I kind of pictured it as, even though it never said that he made any noises, because I think it was a vocal cord situation and not necessarily the loss of the tongue. Don't know. May never know. But what I do know is in this book, in The Vagrant, there is penance, a lot of penance. There is the power of friendship. There are a sequence of redemption arcs from unpredictable sources. Love a redemption arc. You know, and because they were so just open-handed with the redemption arcs, whenever there's a new character, no matter how horrible they were, suplex! Oh! You never thought in your life. Because there were so many... Hey, come on, dude. Because there were so many redemption arcs, whenever there was a new character, anything could happen. They could be a new friend. All of them could be a new friend. And that's the thing, the Vagrant loved to make friends. Like, he has the demon sword, and he is this incredibly accomplished fighter by virtue of training since childhood with the... They're not called the Brotherhood of Steel, the Seraph Knights. Training since childhood with them, and he has this sword that just blows up demons and is very good at killing humans. And none of this is a concern. I mean, it's kind of a concern because guns exist in this world too. So he can get shot, that does happen. But they also have like super advanced healing technology, and they can like replace your finger like in Fallout. Again, it's basically Fallout. So not a lot was on the table, and he's got these coins that are worth a fortune each of them. And every time he's confronted with a situation that it would be so easy to just cut his way out of, he always takes the light side route, and he always tries to buy his way out of it, or like earn his way out of it with good deeds, and it's just so bizarre in that world. So you like the Vagrant so much more because of that, because he's a true believer. Like, he's all the way in on his oath. The difficulty does not come from him struggling with his own morality. The difficulty comes from the impossibility of maintaining the moral code that he has. It's not him. He's not flawed. The code itself is too stringent. You know? And that's just such a good conflict. I love it. Probably okay, right? It's powerful, it's beautiful stuff the whole way. And then absolute torrent of burning demon blood raining from the heavens as our man Sir Vagrant extracts righteous vengeance on the servants of the adversary. Can't speak highly enough of this book. Love it. So many demons. All of them are gross. All of them are doing gross things. They talk in these weird voices to each other all the time, and like demons do. And then they run across, and like you're scared. You're scared of the demons. You are. I mean, not scared may be an overstatement. You're never actually afraid. Like, the demons don't creep you out, but you're aware of their power and their danger. You know? It's like a Dragon Ball Z situation. Like, you know what they're capable of, so you're like on edge when they encounter our heroes. There are multiple heroes. You'll meet the other heroes. I'm not going to tell you about them. You can read the book. We're here because we read books. You can read the book, but you just don't want anybody to get just deleted when the demons meet the heroes. But you don't gotta worry about it, because the Vagrant is just so good at killing. You wish he'd kill more. You wish that he would recognize that, in his case, violence should usually be the answer. But he's just too good. He's too good a dude. And this is exactly the same thing that I loved about the same book that I mention I swear to you, I'm going to review this book. The same book that I mention every video. What I loved about Between Two Fires is our boy, the French knight whose name I don't remember, who made the sound like the bull whenever he fought. He was amazing at killing too. He was so good, but the little girl kept stopping him because it wasn't right, and that makes for such compelling storytelling. I don't know. Maybe I'm biased. I don't think I am, though. I think it's objectively good. You should read this book, The Vagrant. I mean, you should read Between Two Fires too, and you should not read that Stephen Pressfield book. It was a cheap money grab, and he should be ashamed of himself. But you should read The Vagrant. If you watched that piece of crap Fallout series, especially. Like, if you devoted 8 hours of your life to sitting through that miserable Fallout TV show, you owe it to yourself to read The Vagrant. The Vagrant is a better continuation of the Fallout series than the Fallout TV show was, even though it takes place in an entirely different world, just because thematically it's appropriate. They hit all the correct notes, and they added demons in, and that didn't detract from it. In fact, it enriched the world. I see what Peter Newman set out to do, and he accomplished it 10 out of 10. Absolutely nailed it. Love this guy. Cannot wait to read the rest of what he's written. However, I have a really long list of books that I have to read before I get to what he's written. Many of them by Christopher Buehlman, he can't miss. Everything I've read by him is phenomenal. He doesn't miss. I'm torn, because on one hand I hope that he understands how much I love everything he writes, but on the other, I would be embarrassed for him to see how hard I'm fangirling for everything he writes. That's neither here nor there. I am going to read Peter Newman's other stuff, and I am going to start doing the to-read lists. I saw that's a popular thing on BookTube. I'm not going to do it in November because November is National Novel Writing Month, and every November I knuckle down and pound out at least 50,000 words of something. So I'm going to be doing that, which means my reading is going to suffer. If I'm still going to be updating this, but the updates I'm going to make are going to be more focused on books that I read a long time ago, which, if we're being honest, probably like 3/4 of the books that I've reviewed on this so far are books that I read a long time ago. This one I just read, though, in Death Valley. That was like, I'll tell you how many weeks ago. Oh, about a month ago, actually. Because I was on vacation at the end of September, and it is now October 23rd. So 3 weeks ago, give or take. Alright, that's enough out of us. Thanks for sticking around. Like, follow, subscribe, comment, whatever you do on this one. I'm old. I don't know what social media is. I know that subscribe is one. Subscribe is an important one because that's one of the ones that the metrics tells me about. So definitely do that if you wanna. And there will be improvements, and there will be more of this. And I'm looking forward to seeing how far I can ride this. All right, love you. Bye.